I'd like everybody to please join me in welcoming Andy Walker from Andy's Lawn and Landscape, Alexander Godfrey from Lakeland Plant World, Nick Winkelmolen from Winkelmolen Nursery, and Sean Christie from Rugged Earth Landscaping. Panel, welcome. Thank you all for joining us today. To start us off, can you briefly introduce yourself, your role, and how long you've been in the industry, and what drew you in? We'll start from Andy and work our way this way.
Okay, my name's Andy. I'm the owner of Andy's Lawn and Landscape. A little bit about my story and how I started. Pretty organic. I was 12 years old, and my next door neighbor broke her ankle and asked if I would cut her lawn for $20. Now, using my parents' equipment, not funding any gas or anything, I said, well, this $20 was super easy to make. And it was probably about an acre, so they were getting a really good deal as well. And the next person that had an acre next door said $20. Okay, I'm on board. So pretty soon I was doing like 5 of these lawns a week, making $100 a week, $400 a month at 12 years old. And I was like, this is pretty crazy. Now, fast forward to kind of where we are today. I have 15 employees. We have 3 maintenance crews and 2 construction crews. A little bit more. So I've run it since I was 12 every summer. I became an official registered company when I was 15. So I'm going into my 16th season. I did go to post-secondary school. At the time, I wasn't sure 100% if I wanted to stay in this industry. So I went to school for sport management at Brock University. I had an internship coming out of there, a 6-month internship with Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Incredible opportunity. I was right down there with the Leafs and the Raptors and doing a ton of cool stuff. And after my 6-month internship, they offered me a full-time job. And at that time, I had to make a decision. I still have my company, but I had to kind of just say, this is a pivotal point in my life. Which avenue am I going? Am I going with my university degree towards sport, or am I going into the landscape world where I, at the time, was still small, myself and 2 buddies and maybe, 30 lawns or something like that. And I kind of followed my passion in landscaping, and it's brought me to this point of sitting up on a panel like this today. I left the sport world behind, but I'm glad I did. And every year since I was 12, I'm kind of happy to say that my sales and the company has grown every single year leading up to this point. I've never taken a step back, and I kind of look to keep pursuing forward. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi guys, I'm Sean Christie. I own Rugged Earth Landscaping up in Huntsville. Trying to keep it less winded than Andy did. So I went to school right out of high school, university, for kinesiology. Then after kinesiology, I had a door close on me. I applied to be an athletic therapist out in Calgary. I was going to be an intern out there for sports and athletic therapy. That door closed because apparently you need good grades to get in that. So the door that did open at that time was teaching. So I graduated with my Bachelor of Education, moved back to my hometown, Huntsville, and got quickly onto the school board there. And then yet another door closed because at that time I came into the teaching world, which was firing and teacher jobs losing. So there was no teaching jobs available. So I was considering to be a lifelong supply teacher, occasional teacher, taking small contracts, things like that. At that time, I needed a summer job because teaching was only in the fall, winter. So I did not want to work minimum wage, retail. I decided that I would open up a property maintenance company. And just like a lot of the other business owners that are in this room, started with a completely inadequate vehicle, a terrible bank account, a push mower, can-do attitude, and a line trimmer. So that's about it. At that point, I was able to set my own hours, didn't have to work weekends like most people do in tourist town in Muskoka. So it was nice. At that point, those clients that I had, they started asking for more and more work, bridging the season from spring cleanups all the way to fall, gaining more and more clientele. It led to not being able to take any more teaching days in the fall. So I had to only take teaching days from the January till springtime. Then this miracle thing, maybe people won't call it a miracle, COVID, closed doors on teaching because I was not able to meet my minimum number of teaching days that are mandated by school boards. So they let me go because I didn't meet the minimum days. Meanwhile, they closed the schools, so we're not going to get into that. So in that case, another door closed, so I was forced to basically provide for my family at that time and myself and my Superfund student loans that I wasn't using any of the education for. So I had to pay off student loans, so I had to work harder. And at this point, I started using Landscape Ontario, CNLA, education systems, mentorship programs. I started talking to other business owners in the area, learning how to run and operate a business because I had no idea what I was doing. And now I have seasonally between 13 to 15 staff. I have a landscape architect on staff that does all of our designs, construction division, maintenance divisions, multiple turf and garden care, aggregate deliveries, all that fun stuff, seasonal decorating, and now I opened up a company, Wild Landscape Lighting, to supplement the landscape lighting industry in our area, and I just need to be more stressed and have less hair, so why not? There you go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alexander Godfrey, third generation garden center owner. We have 2 retail garden centers in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I, at a young age, was always in the garden center, running around, causing a mess, getting yelled at, usually. And then once COVID hit, I was actually going to leave and go work elsewhere and get out of the family business for a bit. But obviously, like Sean said, COVID was good to us, so I decided to stick around, and obviously no one else was hiring, so my father said, why don't you stay? And that's when I got a real passion for it. At the time, I was going to university for my business degree, and once I graduated, I wanted to join the family business right away, and my dad looked at me and said no. He said, there's an alternative I think you should do, and here are the options. So he gave me the options to go overseas and work at a garden center over in the UK. I had a few other options, Ireland and obviously the Netherlands, but I went to the UK because they spoke English and it was a little bit easier to get my visa to get over there. I worked at a garden center called Barton Grange. They won UK Destination Garden Center of the Year in 2025. Unbelievable family-owned business. They are 62 years old this year. So I worked there as in the plant area. I was just a sales associate at the time, so dealing with customers and obviously doing the dirty work. After my first year, my visa was 2 years. After my first year, I was going to leave and then come back to the family business. The owners of the garden center said, what is your plan? And I told them I was going to go to Ireland to work, and that they looked at me and said, well, why don't you stay another year and you get a little bit more responsibility? And I said, sure, what do you have in mind? So I took over all the hard goods sections, so soils, stonery, aggregates, all that kind of stuff, and I had a small team working under me, about 3 people, which obviously a lot more responsibility and kind of helped me manage them. After my 2 years was up, I moved back home, and now I'm the nursery lead at one of our garden centers. This year, or 2025, was my first year back into the business and working with my family. Obviously it has a lot of ups and has a lot of downs, but that's the fun part about it. But obviously going away and getting that experience and obviously growing up a lot and just the family, the friends I made and the connections I made was something that I'll remember forever. But yeah, like I said, I've been in this industry since I've been little, and it's an unbelievable industry, and this has got a very bright future.
Hi everybody, I'm Nick Winkelmolen from Winkelmolen Nursery. We're a wholesale production nursery in Hamilton area with 825 acres and about 75 employees during the summer. I grew up on the nursery. My parents started it in the late 70s, early 80s. I've spent my whole childhood working on the farm, weeding pots, cleaning the trees in the field, helping with grafting, helping with budding. So when it came time to go to school, I didn't want to have anything to do with the nursery because I did all the worst jobs on the farm, and I wanted to get away as fast as I could. So I ended up going to school for engineering. I did a bit of nuclear engineering, electrical engineering, until I realized that sitting behind a computer all day is definitely not something that I am capable of doing, nor would I want to. I ended up deciding to come into the family business after I realized that, what my parents do in the business is not weeding and suckering all the trees every day. So I ended up going to school for business management. And then when I finished school, I did not want to work at home right away. So I ended up working at a nursery nearby, which is Putzer Nursery. So I spent a season working there. After that, I wanted to get away and go live in the mountains for a bit and ski for the winters. So I ended up moving to BC with no plan. I ended up working for a small landscaping company. I got hired on just as a regular employee in their commercial maintenance division. But the person that was in charge of it ended up quitting after the first 2 weeks I was there. So I ended up being in charge of it and helping it grow from 4 employees to 12 employees over the 2 years that I was out there. At that point, my dad was kind of getting ready to retire, so I ended up coming back home. So I ended up taking over my dad's responsibility, which is mostly growing production side of the nursery, so maintaining 800 acres of trees. I am in the business with my younger brother. He conveniently went to Niagara Park School of Horticulture for production and growing trees. So we ended up in the office doing all the paperwork and the business side of things, and I get to do all the growing, even though I got trained in the business side of things. So it works out really well. I don't think I'd want to change it anyway. I've also been part of the Landscape Ontario's grower group. During COVID, it kind of fell apart, and I was the only one that was left for a couple of years. So I had to help get it back going on its feet again, because, again, during that time, everybody was quite busy. We didn't have time for all the extras, so it was a lot of just keeping things going. But it did allow me to be part of the CNLA Growers Board as well. I got to go traveling to go see some of the nurseries in Europe because of that. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Amazing. Before we open it up to the floor, in 30 seconds or less, can you share your leadership style, especially with each of you coming from a different side and background of landscape? We can start from Andy and work our way back this way.
I would say hands-on, best way to put it. I'm out on the field every day. I wear many hats. I'm still in the office at night answering tons of emails and this and that. Can be a problem for sure, but I would say hands-on is my leadership style.
I guess I learned a technique when I was in teachers college called gradual release. Assigning roles, trusting the people to do the right thing. So I hired people to hopefully know how to do the right thing and hiring the right people. But my leadership style is a lot of hands-off, putting faith and trust into the people that I have and being hands-on as much as I need to be.
Yeah, mine would probably be motivating and very positive energy. We want it to be a joy. When you get into the garden center every day, you want your job to be fun, and you want to look forward to going to work every day. So positive vibe, a lot of energy, motivating, especially to the younger staff that we have on. It definitely helps a lot, yeah.
So my dad was very much a micromanager, so I have tried to get away from that as much as I can. I will never be able to get away from it completely because, I learned from him. But it's very much stepping back to some extent, letting people take the lead that they need to, while also trying to find ways that will help them do that, whether it be techniques and that to teach them how to transition to those roles that they can kind of manage.
Some insights from everybody at the panel, so thank you for sharing your introductions. We will open it to the floor if anybody has some initial questions for our panel. If not, we do have some that I can definitely ask. Yeah?
Are you guys looking to grow your businesses? And if so,
Yes. The hurdle is where we are geographically. Muskoka has a really, really hard time finding skilled workforce, especially when it comes down to training. There are no schools anywhere north of Humber that offer horticultural training. Georgian College in Barrie does not offer anything in that sense. They are now closing the Aurelia campus and the Bracebridge campus for all of their other educational things, so there is no longer any post-secondary schooling anywhere close to us. So when it comes down to training, there is none. So the workforce is really, really, really weak. So to grow my business, yeah, I would love to, but where we are, we struggle when it comes down to skilled workforce to actually grow it, to trust the people that you have working for you.
Yeah, we're slowly growing. Part of our restraint is land costs. Land around us is quite expensive. We can only stray so far from our area because of the amount of infrastructure that's needed for what we produce. So we are kind of limited by what we are allowed to do in our area. The other thing is it's a long-term crop. Most of our plants are anywhere between 3 and 8 years. So growth has to be at a pace that is manageable on those kind of timelines.
I would say same with me. I would definitely want to keep growing, but in a strategic way. I think it's important not to rush the process. And like I mentioned earlier, I've grown my company every single year since I was officially 15 onwards. But early on, I tried to do it really quick, and I made a lot of mistakes. And so I had to learn to sort of backpedal that and grow in a strategic way that wasn't, more than I was capable of handling. So growth for us is certainly something we strive and look for every year, but in a systemic way.
Yeah, obviously we're always trying to grow and improve in different areas. Obviously, Lakeland is the only garden center in Halifax that's all year round retail store. With that, obviously, we'll be 50 this year, and we haven't done any renovations in 50 years. So doing that, is a lot of things are breaking, the building's basically falling down. But HRM is a real pain to deal with. And if you're not a new build house or an apartment building, anything like that, the permits are a pain in the ass to get. And I don't think HRM, like the city of Halifax, knows how important the industry is to people. COVID really was a huge thing for us, and we gained so many new customers and so many new followers because the industry has grown and people love gardening and getting out in the garden, or if you have an apartment or stuff like that. But yeah, if you're not an apartment building or a new house, it's really, really hard. So we've been dealing with that for probably the last 3 years, getting permits in line. There's a saying, you get 2 steps forward, you bring 2 steps back when it comes to the city of Halifax. So, hopefully crossing our fingers, and hopefully this year we'll get all that sorted, and then, we'll be able to do so much more, being the only garden center that's open all year round, especially in the wintertime. People still love to come in, but there's so many opportunities with that if we can get this done this year.
Yeah.
I have a question more for the hands-off leaders with this style. So how far do you set back in building your trust in, and to what extent are you actively intervening so that these people can meet your expectations?
It starts with the team that we have. You have to have a lot of trust in the team that you have. This year especially, I have gained a lot of trust because they've really done a really good job. But more responsibility is a big thing, and some people don't know how to handle that yet. But this year especially, we built a very good team. I can't stress enough how important a team is in this industry, especially seasonal. Obviously, we're all year round, but a lot of people like to get laid off come, October time, November time. And the problem is not a lot of them want to come back, or they don't come back, and building that team is a big thing. This year I was telling Sean, we hired about 10 new people and 8 of them are coming back, which is huge. But yeah, a lot of them have, you have to look at them and you want them to have your best interests, right? And a lot of them did this year, and that gives me a lot of trust. So that means I can sit back and look at the bigger picture and, deal with landscapers, deal with orders, and they can do the day-to-day stuff and take care of what's on the shop floor and the customers, which has helped a lot this past year. This year, it's hard to say. With the same team coming back, I think we'll be in the same boat, but you never know. But yeah, it's been a really good year for that.
I would say from my end, we have struggled in the past, and this year we're really focusing on coming up with, from a communication piece between roles, supervisors down to leads, senior techs, the whole way down. And I think no matter whose business it is, that's always a problem when it comes down to things, and no matter how hard I try, I'll never be able to be perfectly hands-off, unless I just turn my phone off and leave the country and say everybody good luck. But no, I think from my end, I try to communicate to my staff members separately, after hours occasionally. I try not to. Early mornings, once again, I try not to. Hopefully if don't have exactly what we're planning on doing at 7 in the morning and I'm still communicating that, then I'm not doing a very good job on my end, right? So that's where I fail. And I still have that issue, and no matter what, so if Andy eventually starts taking a step back, then he's probably going to call me a few times on how do I handle that. But it comes down to training the people, hopefully, that you feel you can trust when it comes down to sitting in that specific role, training them how you want them to communicate and on a day-to-day operations. And then, when in our end this year, from our side, we're trying to come up with that hierarchy that makes sense from a communication train. And so it's putting, I'm passing as much authority as I can on each one of the levels of staffing. But as said, we're still figuring it out. So maybe call me in a year or two. No, maybe no.
So we have a few different, levels of our staff. Some of them have been there since I was a child. So for them, it's very easy to leave them hands off because honestly, they have more experience than I do. So a lot of them do know what they're doing. It's more for the younger staff that is gaining more experience in leadership. We've actually brought on more co-op students through high schools and colleges, and having them be in charge of groups like that where there's a little bit less responsibility, but it is a step in that kind of direction. It really gives them the confidence to kind of go forward, being more of a leader that way. And then we're also, because we're a farm, we actually have a lot of seasonal agriculture workers. We do have to have leaders through that stream as well, and that has been the most difficult one to be hands off with because in their culture they do not like to take a leadership role. So the only way we've been able to do that is by incentivizing it, so they do get, higher pay or stuff like that, which technically is against the contracts that they're in. But nobody's ever gotten mad at us for paying them extra yet. So those are the ways that we kind of go around along with it. But the biggest thing is me being available. I don't necessarily need to check on them all the time, but the fact that they know that they can get a hold of me pretty much any time on my cell phone and ask any questions, and I'll answer it without judging them is a way that gives them kind of confidence to make those choices.
Okay, perfect.
So as an emerging leader forum, I would assume that we're a little bit more open to AI versus maybe somebody who's a little bit more senior. Are you using AI in your businesses right now, and to what effect? And I know we could talk for an hour on that alone, so
yeah, I do use AI. Certain things. It depends on what's going on. Sometimes social media we do quite a bit. If it's a caption, I don't overly like images because some of them look really, really fake, and it's just not that good. Captions can be good, or depending on what it is, you might have to fine tune it a bit. But yeah, we do it quite a lot. I think it's a great tool to have. You got to be careful with it, obviously, and we tell our staff to be careful with it. Some of the facts it does is not always correct, so you always got to double check, and that's when our seniors get involved a bit more, but they're a little bit older and they don't know a lot about AI. But I know quite a bit. So yeah, we do use it a lot, more than we have in the past, especially this year, especially at the location I'm at. The other location, I couldn't tell you, probably not as much, to be honest. They're a little bit older. I don't mean that any harm, but yeah, we do use it quite a bit. We don't rely on it, but we do use it if we have to, yeah.
I love ChatGPT. That's it. We use it for a lot of our ChatGPT for not necessarily contracts, but definitely asking questions or just making quick forms, things like that. We've used that to a small extent, but we've used it. The main direction of AI that I like is like the quoting softwares. A lot of them that have that type of infrastructure built in, from timekeeping and quoting and overhead recoveries and all that aspect of things. I feel like, and we have a landscape architect on staff, and I feel like AI can't replace the skills that they have. They can try, but it comes down to it's not going to deliver an award-winning landscape design in comparison to what we can. There's no way that AI can sit there and measure where bedrock is and where there's going to be clay and where there's going to be, it's very, like, it can come up with conceptual drawings, but it can't necessarily come up with the perfect landscape, the award-winning delivered landscape. I don't think it can meet that, and I don't think it'll ever replace landscapers. It can come up to small things like robotic mowers and things like that. Like, I can see that would be a really good fit from a commercial sense or things like that. But when it comes down to landscaping, it can work within the infrastructure within the business, but not necessarily the work that it's done itself.
Just really quick too, same thing, ChatGPT. I use it for helping me on emails. It just cuts down a little bit of brain power sometimes. When you're answering tons of emails and you're just always thinking about responses, it can help you. I like they were saying, you can't just copy and paste it. You do have to proofread, you have to fact check, stuff like that, but it does help. And then I think, again, touching on like what Sean said, it will never replace award-winning designs. However, I have actually won a couple jobs where you meet with the client and they have an idea and you just quickly snap a photo and, something like, make this a waterfall here and a park bench here, whatever the case may be. And within 30 seconds, you can have an image and show them. I think visualizing things is a really good way to learn jobs, and then you can develop the proper design and stuff like that. So that's how I've utilized it in my day.
In my part of the industry, it's not at the point yet where it's readily usable. There's a lot of technology coming in that is going to be utilizing it for tractors, automation, sprayers. It's all about what is allowed to some extent and the cost of getting into it. Again, we're not sending out a lot of literature. We're not quoting on drawings. We don't need a lot of the stuff that it's successful at this point. It's more the grading of trees or the driving through the rows with the tractor, the reducing labor that it will kind of impact more, but it's the cost of the technology is not at the point where it's affordable at this point. So it's coming, but not yet.
Yeah.
I got a question for Sean. I mean, he was our moderator, and I think, I don't know, when you're good at something, you kind of tend to downplay it a little bit. So we've heard about his background leading up to opening up his company. But I was hoping maybe you could share some of your major milestones growing it from an individual to a company that has a developed organizational structure with the hands-off approach sort of thing. How to get it there, because Emerging Leaders Summit, right? I think that we can learn something from that.
No pressure. Failure. So I failed a lot. My first year, first jobs, not knowing how to price, not knowing how to overhead recovery on my business, not knowing how to save money for tax season. We've all been there. I think failures. So as you go into the understanding when you first open your business that you're going to fail. You're by yourself, and hard work is what's going to get you out of it. Hopefully you're responsible enough for a pocketbook when it comes down to it in savings. But when you start your business, like I did, I had obviously a goal to support myself, my family. So there was obviously that. But it comes down to, if you're going to do something and you start your business and you're not passionate about it, then you shouldn't be doing it. So I had a passion for the landscaping trades. I did. I guess I started my career as a teacher, but I did always have an interest in landscaping. I designed gardens and walkways for my family when I was, in elementary school, and I had that knowledge. And my dad is a birder and a ridiculous knowledge of animals and plants and trees, and I don't know, he's crazy. So I grew up, in nature, activities in nature, all these types of things. So I had the horticultural trades just there. So I had a passion. When I started my business, it came down to trying to take that passion and turning it into a bank account and an income statement that was going to get me to buy a house. So that drove me. So every time I failed, it was a lot like some people would look at it as, okay, I failed and I'm not going to try to change. I'm just going to stay the exact same way, stay the route, and hopefully it gets better. Well, no, that's not how you should probably operate your business. You should operate it by seeking out mentors, seeking out information from other people. I joined Landscape Ontario when I had no financial business to do so, as silly as that sounds when it comes down to it, but that was probably the best decision I made, because I started going to Congress, I started going to chapter events locally, I started going to meetings. I got myself involved in a program called Green Street Challenge. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's with a organization called Come Alive Outside. If you're familiar with Scott Wentworth, Wentworth Landscapes, he's an unbelievable human being. He was a big proponent in that, and I, with no staff members and my now wife and my parents and my uncle and aunt and friends and family and whoever else I could recruit, laid 10,000 square feet of sod on downtown Huntsville, right on Main Street, during one of the sidewalk sales. And from there, we set up yard games and brought it, and I was able to communicate to scouts and an outdoor rec store that's just down the street. They brought a tent and chairs, and then I set up balls and toys and stuff like that. And you see here's these families coming for a downtown shop, and they kick off their shoes and they're just running around on grass. I mean, there's passion right from the get-go. So I saw what was in the back of my mind from a passion piece, getting outside and the healing nature of that. So I used that as the driving force, and of course as a marketing tool, because I got to set up my truck and trailer. I got out of my Hyundai Elantra and a push mower. So I had a truck and trailer at that point, so I set that up, and my name grew, and I just started going. So I think from a failure piece, I failed miserably on invoicing. For the first year and a half, and so barely enough money to keep the doors open, drew enough income to support myself. Then tax time came, and I realized I did not have the income to support myself. So failures, consistent failures. But I eventually learned from business owners, from professionals in the area, communicating to mentors, Wentworth Landscapes, Scott, the other big leaders in the area, and realizing that the landscaping community is actually a family. You're not competitors. Everybody in this room is not a competitor. You're all out here, you're all sitting here learning how to operate your business in a better way, and learning from each other is the only way you're going to do it. So that's how I got to where I am now. And then of course, now I'm hiring people to hopefully know how to do the job better than I do. Did I answer your question?
I think it was a very broad question.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so maybe the other guys like can share some of their inputs too about advice that you have for up and comers sort of thing, and what are the major aspects that you've kind of gone through that have got that can grow your company to the next level sort of thing, coming like from one person, what it's going to take to get to that next level.
So just touching upon what Sean said, one of my mottos in life and that I instill in my entire company is that it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it. And I think just like he said, failure, if you keep making the same mistake over and over again, then your company's never going to grow, and you're always going to be stuck. But if you keep learning and growing, then it helps to kind of push you forward. And I instill that in all my staff as well. And then touching on the staff aspect and the people that are around you in your company need to be the right people. I've gone through lots of staff up and down over the years. Last year, coming into this following year, we retained all 15 employees, which in this industry is huge. There's tons of turnover, and we don't do snow plowing, so a lot of these guys are left to kind of go find a different job or collect EI or something over the winter. Something that I'm looking to try and change a little bit, but we don't want to get in the snow world, so I'm trying to figure out something else to keep them going. But to have 15 employees come back after 3 months off, kind of speaks volumes on what I love to encourage, and sort of staff retention is huge. So surround yourself with good people.
Yeah, I think like Sean said as well, like the passion. If you have the passion, the knowledge is going to come at the end of the day eventually. And kind of the same with us, our turnover is going to be really good this year, which is huge. Bringing back a similar most people that you had the year before is obviously great, so you don't have to worry about retraining and doing the same stuff that you do constantly, and you can focus on the bigger picture a bit more. And this year especially, we're going to have that with obviously between 8 and 10 returning people that are passionate and that want to be there and want to do the job. And that this year especially helped me tremendously, obviously coming back my first year into the business, and taking a way bigger responsibility that I ever had. That definitely helped me a lot and made me feel more comfortable. And then going into this year, my confidence is through the roof, knowing that, I've got 10 people that I can rely on and we can keep growing and keep pushing, right? The team, I can't stress enough, is the most important thing, right? You're a train, you're a boat, you got to stay steady, you got to keep going. And when people return and have the passion and have your best interests, it goes a long way. And I think obviously going away for almost 2 years and learning from an unbelievable garden center in the UK, that helped me a lot, right? The team atmosphere every single day when we got into work, it was all about the team, what we're going to do today and work together. And if that's, helping with a delivery or helping with a customer or, going into a meeting discussing what we need to do to improve, that was a huge aspect for me when I left. And I took that a lot with me home, and I think I'm trying to bring it home. I think it's worked this last year, and that's great. And that's a huge improvement, obviously.
I'm just going to add as well, I did have a horrible boss in the landscaping world that actually pushed me farther into going to teaching. I did not enjoy working for this person, and then so from that, every day when I do go to my office, I always remind myself that I'll never be that person. I'll never be that kind of boss. His business was so successful, but as a human being and to work for him was miserable. And as a 18, 19-year-old young kid, basically, I was still a kid, I just could not stand going to work. So I don't want that for any of the staff members that I have. So I take that into my business ownership style as well.
So for me, one of the biggest things is getting involved. So because it is a second generation, I had already learned a lot of the stuff on the nursery, but getting to meet people that are in the industry was a big part of it. So joining LO, joining the growers group, joining the CNLA growers group, meeting people from across our country. We ended up going to the CNLA Growers Awards for nursery. that ended up going to the AIPH International Awards. So we got to meet other nurseries and growers from around the world. From there, we've also got to go on tours through CNLA and LO to other parts of the world like Italy and Germany, and just getting involved to kind of broaden your scope of things. So a big thing is saying yes to things. So being on a panel like this, saying yes to that. Whether or not you want to get involved in any of the other organizations, be part of the LO chapters, whatever province you're in, just getting involved really kind of helps you realize what other people deal with and their challenges, and you can bring that back to your organization as well. So I think getting involved with organizations like this really does make a big difference.
Do you believe in work-life balance as a term? Maybe that's a misleading way to ask that question.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I find it's really hard, especially in those busy months. That it's such a short season. I'm in there 7 days a week. I usually burn myself out come a certain point of the year. So this year, that's one of my New Year's resolutions is to have a work-life balance. But if I have anything like my grandparents or my father, that definitely will not happen. It's tough. It's really, really hard. I try to give myself at least one day off during the week if I can, but then I wake up in the morning and it's 6:30 and I'm like, I'm just going to go in for a second and make sure everything's okay, but then I don't leave until 6:30 at night. So it's tough. It's really, really hard. I do believe in it. I don't follow it. I probably should, because I'm going to burn myself out really quick, and I have before. But I love it. I love going in. I love seeing the team. I love being interactive with the customers and the team. Obviously, some days I'm like, I don't really want to be here, but I do love being there deep down. But it's one thing I need to work on, and because if you keep doing it, you just like I said, you're going to burn yourself out, and that's not good for you, and it's not good for the team, right? You got to be on your tip-top shape to, with the best ideas and motivate your team. And if you're, off 3 hours of sleep and been in there for, 8 days in a row, well, you're not much help. But yeah, that's one thing I'm working on, and it's definitely very, very hard.
Yeah, I don't have any hair and my beard's gray, as my daughter likes to remind me all the time. So work-life balance was definitely a struggle in the growth stage of the business, which it's still growing, and it's still stressing me out day to day. So work-life balance, yeah, I took a prioritization, good Lord, on myself in 2025. Personal trainer, just because I needed a scheduled appointment, I needed to actually go to something that was scheduled, because if it was a open gym membership, it's super easy just to stay at the office till all hours or be committed to the business and not be able to take care of yourself. So I did make a change for myself to make scheduled appointments to actually do that, and trusting that my staff can handle things for the hour and a half that I'm gone. Sometimes it's a struggle, and sometimes it's not great, especially when it comes down to scheduling and client meetings and Zoom meetings and all those things that I'm missing. But I did prioritize myself. But right when I opened up my business, I did tell my staff and myself that I would never work on weekends. It's very common in our area to have a 6-day work week because our season is so small. So we prioritized, no, like 5 days a week. You're not working on long weekends or holidays. I'm not going to force you to do that. The staff work half days on the Fridays leading up to long weekends. Go enjoy it. So prioritizing like myself, absolutely, but it's the staff that do the work. So I prioritize them more than anything. I take a lot of stress and no hair and gray beard, but in the end, I try to prioritize my staff for that. That's the priority for me.
I'm big for work-life balance ever since COVID happened, and we were stuck with about half our staff and still the same amount of plants to grow. So there was about 2 years there that I had no work-life balance. So since then, it's been a big thing for me. I also have 3 young daughters that are under the age of 10, so they kind of make sure I prioritize that. There will be times that I still have to go in and do stuff, but say in the winter I have to check on the greenhouse. We have a sandbox in our greenhouse. The kids can come with me. They can play. I can still do stuff there. It's about making ways that it works for the whole family. Sometimes we go on trips for work to go learn things. They might come along. They won't come to the conferences and that because that's not fun for them. But my kids learned that in Hamburg there's lots of fun parks. So just having them along with us at times is enough. We also try and make sure that we don't work on weekends. In the summer that's not possible, but I don't necessarily have to be there the whole time. I might go in for 10 minutes in the morning, make sure our offshore workers are kind of know what they're doing, and then away they go. And then from there, I also have 4 or 3 other family members in the business, so they will help out so we can make sure that we have enough time off and that we can actually go away without having the stress of worrying about things while we're gone. So having support also makes a big difference.
Same thing, big problem of mine, work-life balance. Megan in the audience, my new wife as of Friday, is kind of helping me learn what that means. Now like I mentioned earlier, we don't do snow plowing. So for us and for the company, we grind really, really hard for 9 months and then we get 3 months off. Not the best work-life balance strategy, but in those 3 months, it does allow us and anyone else in the company to travel, vacation, take a step back. But then again, same thing through the season. I prioritize the staff. So everybody knows in springtime we are working Monday to Saturday, and it's a grind. But on the flip side, when summer hits, we reduce that, and I promise them that we can do Monday to half-day Fridays because people like to go to cottages and this, that, and the other. So I do try and prioritize the staff in that season. As an owner, not so much. Doesn't really happen. It's usually Monday to Saturday with the occasional Sunday off. But yeah, I try and prioritize the staff where I can.
I have one for all of you. Just based on hearing your experiences and different things that you've all shared, could you tell me a defining moment or opportunity that really helped you accelerate your career or move into this path, especially because you've all come from very different backgrounds?
So obviously, like I said, when I was in the UK, that probably would be a defining moment. But also in, I think it was 2012, the International Garden Center Association was held in Floriade, which is in the Netherlands. And obviously all around the world, different garden centers came together, and it was about a week. So the International Garden Center Association is a yearly thing. So in October, we were in Cape Town, South Africa for 2 weeks, touring all different garden centers around Cape Town, which is pretty incredible. So when I did that when I was 12, I didn't really realize what a cool opportunity that was. And then obviously when I moved to the UK and got more involved and my passion started to come a lot more, I was like, this is not a bad gig at all. I think going to those and going to different countries around the world and different garden centers, you really broaden your horizon of how many cool things and how many cool garden centers there is. You get so many different ideas, and some that you'd be like, oh, that could work with us, or maybe that couldn't work with us. And just meeting other retailers and owners and how they operate and what they struggle with and what you struggle with. I remember when I was a kid growing up, none of my friends' parents had garden centers. But when you go to there, and I'm on the youth bus, so the average age is, I think, 20 to 35. So everyone's around the same age. It's 20 to 35, sorry. So everyone's around the same age, and they grew up the same way you did, but maybe one guy's from Japan or another guy's from the States. So bonding with them and, bouncing off ideas are pretty incredible. So going on those tours is a really defining moment because you reconnect with them, and I've made so many good friends on those tours, and I think looking back at it, like, it's one of the best memories. So this year's in Germany, which is pretty incredible. So get to see all them and how their years went and what they're looking forward to in the following year. It's always in the summertime too, usually at the end of summer, August, depending on where it is. But yeah, that's a defining moment. Going to those and brainstorming with all different people around the world it's pretty cool. It's a great experience.
I have two. I made a goal for myself in my business once I kind of got things actually moving and realizing how to actually run a business. I went to Congress and I went to the Award of Excellence ceremony, did not submit any awards at that time that year, just watched, saw the awards that were handed out and said I would love to make a lifelong goal to win one of those fancy gold plaques that these crazy, amazing landscaping companies in Ontario and all of Canada actually do. So I had made a goal for myself that I if I find a project that's pretty cool, it's pretty special, maybe I'll just, test the water and spend the money and submit. And it was a lifelong goal to win a Award of Excellence, and I submitted and won in my first year. And of course that was a COVID year. And so I found out by myself watching in my basement on TV on a live stream that it just pops up and Rugged Earth Landscaping Award of Excellence and shows us the project, and I was just dumbfounded. I can't remember if my wife was there. I was texting my wife, I don't know, but it was just surprising on how I can't believe I won. And then some of my staff were streaming it, and so they called us because it was lockdown, so we couldn't actually do anything. It was crazy. So that was a defining moment, realizing that I was actually put myself on the map as there's the measuring stick, there's what I need to achieve, that's how I have to sell it to my staff, that's how I have to train people, that is the standard. Whenever we go to a project, that's the standard. You now know what it takes, and now it's just better. So now we have 7 awards and a national award with CNLA and a few other things. So there's the measuring stick for us. That was one defining moment. The other one, if you want to see my ugly mug on TV, Paramount Plus featured us on Colin and Justin's Sub-Zero Reno. We did the landscape design and installation for a really supposed to be high stress TV show completed in 6 weeks. So that was, and then acting to be in fake arguments with the contractor that was in my way, and all these things, and of course showing up 8 or 9 weeks after we started to do the planting for said project, and they realized that this thing went. So they gave me clippers and scissors, and there's the porta potty, and you have to look the same as you did. You're supposed to have been here like 3 days ago. So, and the banter from 2 Scottish hosts was a lot, and I had to be very quickly a TV star and mic'd up and had to make sure I was being really careful because I was live feeded right into the audio system. So there's a lot of sound bites on that show that are me saying some inappropriate things, and I don't think they used all of them, thank God. But other than that, yeah, that was a defining moment. So that's on Paramount Plus if anyone wants to check that out, and don't judge me at all for my acting skills.
Yeah. As touched upon earlier on, I'll keep it quick, but it was just when I had to transition from deciding to go with the sports world or landscaping. When I go the landscaping route, I realized that this is a huge career-changing moment, and there was no turning back to the other side. So it was kind of like put your foot down. Similar to Sean, we won an award of excellence as well for one of our projects, and that was a huge thing that kind of put us on the map. It's a very standout property in the Burlington area. If anyone's from that area, it's the Joseph Brandt Museum, right on the corner downtown Lakeshore. And for us, I kind of made a deal when we were doing the project that I could put up a fairly large sign right on the corner with our advertising, and we were there for a couple months, and just having our sign on such a high traffic corner, thousands and thousands, a couple big events like Ribfest attracts like 300,000 people. There's just like tons of stuff like that helped build this recognition. Then we won the award, which kind of solidified that, and that same award then went to nationals, which was in Regina just in August. So a couple big landmark things for our company that has helped propel us forward, and the national one that just happened in August is something that we're looking to kind of really promote. A lot of our clients and stuff don't know a whole lot about it. We've posted on social media, but we're going to look to use that in like email blasts and stuff like that for this upcoming spring promotion. Just let them know that they are now working with a nationally recognized company, so it adds a little bit more to our portfolio.
So for me, my parents started the business, so it was already an established business at the time. So part of it was going to school and realizing that what I thought as a child would be fun as a job was not something that I was actually passionate about. And around the same time as when my parents were kind of deciding whether or not they need to start expanding more if we're going to come into the business, or whether they need to start to slow down and prepare for retirement. Because, you know, at the time it was a 300-acre farm, and, you know, we had 30 employees or so. It's not the easiest thing to kind of ramp down, especially because the crop is a longer-term crop. So at the time, going to school, realizing I did not like doing electrical drawings, I did not like doing the engineering side of things, coming to the realization I'd rather be a farmer. I'd rather have the time to spend outside, you know, going over the business more with my parents and kind of figuring out that it is something that I want to do. Was a big kind of wake up call for me. The hardest part about it is not actually being in charge. It's the transitioning. Like, my parents don't actually retire. They just step back a bit, but they're always there. They live on the property. So, you know, I'm always around the last generation. It has its benefits. I like getting to see my parents every day, you know, working with them. But there is a lot of opinions, and we're Dutch, so there's a lot of strong opinions. So it can be difficult that way. But you know, that was a big turning point for me, deciding that, you know, it's something that I do want to pursue. And then it's not something you could do partly. It was an all or nothing kind of thing. So it was a big step that way.
Amazing. Well, thank you, all four of you, for sharing lots of your insights. We will wrap up our panel for today. So a huge round of applause to the four of you. Thank you and thank you to everybody who asked questions and your participation across this morning in, as it says, our Emerging Leaders Forum. It's been great to connect with all of you, and I hope to touch base with some of you later in the day. As a reminder, all of our speakers will be around this afternoon in and around some of our other sessions, so feel free to continue any of your conversation